Hi boys and girls. Okay, last week we did our beautiful painted paper with our dinosaur words and shapes and things that we wanted to hide in there. Now this week we're going to be creating our dinosaur, and so I want you to think about the shapes that make up a dinosaur. Now this one I did inspired by our artist, but you don't have to do a T-Rex if you don't want to. You can do any kind of dinosaur. But I want you to start thinking about shapes. So I found these drawing books and I was looking in them, and they really have a good example of how you would be starting with shapes, right? To make this dinosaur. Let's find one that we're familiar with here. So if we wanted to do the Stegosaurus, you would need a big oval for this part of his body, right? And then you would need almost like a triangle, maybe a little bit curved triangle for his tail. What shape is his head? It's a smaller oval or a circle. And then I'd also need to cut out a shape that would fit between those two. That's more of a, I don't know, you could probably do a little trapezoid there to make that one. Then the shapes for his spine here, he has all these shapes on here. They're kind of like a rectangle with a triangle sitting on top of it, aren't they? And the spikes are definitely really long, skinny triangles. So you're just going to be creating shapes, okay, today. Think about your dinosaur as a bunch of shapes all put together, okay, because that's what we're going to do. You can see this one's actually he used a rectangle for his head, but you could just round it slightly, okay? I also have some idea sheets to help you out that if you want to look at, you can use these at your table. I will have some for each table that have like some shapes to get you started. So if I'm going to do this guy, I would start by creating this middle shape, and remember, I want it to fit on here, so a good size. I'm thinking, okay, I want it to fit right in there, so I'm going to make one that's about that big. So Mrs. Walker has scraps of paper. Just cut yourself out a shape. This is going to be my body part, right? And if it's too big, like I'm going to lay it on here and see, does that look about right? Now that's kind of big because now I know I have to still fit his tail. If I make it this big, I guess I could bend his tail around to fit it on here, but I think I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, just so I have a little bit more room for his tail. You kind of have to make those decisions as you go, okay? I'm just going to trim off a little bit. Yeah, that's a good size. Okay, now I need a head, and his head is way smaller, so I'm just going to kind of guess what a circles. Do you guys remember in kindergarten when we made our pumpkins? There was a trick to making a circle. Does anybody remember what it was? You could start with a square, which everybody can make a square, right? If you start with a square and you cut off the corners, and you got to cut kind of a big corner off. You want it to look like a stop sign when you get done. Should look like an octagon, 8-sided figure. And then you're going to do these, cut smaller corners, right? Just the little tips of those. And you will end up with a circle if you do this. So that's one way. If you're not very good at making circles and you want to practice doing that, that would have worked out the same way, wouldn't it? I could use that for that, but I only need one. All right, and then for this long skinny piece, well, let's see. Do I have anything I can use here? I maybe could use this. Let me try this. Let me see if this would work. Oh no, this might not be. It might be too skinny, right? If it's too skinny, remember there's lots of scraps up there. I feel like that's skinnier than I want. I think I'm going to actually get another scrap of paper. And I want it to be more like this thick, so I'm going to cut straight up. And then where I want it to bend, I'm going to start to bend my scissors. And then I'm going to go back down. Now whoa, that's almost too long. Okay, so if it's too long, what do? Am I going to trim off a little bit? Yep, I'm just going to make it a little shorter, like so. Okay. And let's see here. So far, so good, right? Now he needs some leg shapes and a tail. Now I know his tail, oh, that's going to be tricky. I think I'm going to try doing a tail real quick to see. I might have to bend this more. Will it work? Oh yeah, that's going to work. There we go. Got his tail. And then for his leg shapes, they're kind of like rectangles, but they're rounded at the top. So how many do I need? Well, in that picture, it shows only 2. I could make 4 though, right? Because there would be some on the other side of his body that we'd just see part of. I think I'm going to make, they're kind of thicker, so maybe I will make 4. I'm going to use all my scraps here though. I think I can do this just by combining the leftovers. I don't want to waste paper, so. And I need 1 more. Let's see, is this enough here? Oh yeah, that'll probably work. So I'm just using whatever leftover pieces I have, and Mrs. Walker's laying all 4 pieces on top of each other so they all look about the same. So I got pretty much the same shape there, didn't I? 1, 2, and then I'm going to stick this one behind. 3, almost like he's running, right? 4. Now when you've got all your pieces cut out, it's time to glue them down. Okay, I'm not worried about his eyes because I know that I'm going to add some details with oil pastel later. So if you look at this guy, we'll be adding other details later. But right now I just want to get the black outline or the silhouette of my dinosaur glued on here. Okay, try and get that part done today. I might trim this off just a little bit there. Yeah, all right. And if you remember, I guess we should talk about our glue bottles. Remember how this glue bottle works, okay? We do not open the cap. If you're using the ones with the red lid, it's already open. All you have to do is push this down. So I'm going to take my piece of paper and I press down. And it's not coming yet, so I have to wait for the glue to run down into the neck of this and then try again. If you do that, if you wait, see how mine's just it's starting to go. If it doesn't go, then you might mean that the person before you forgot to wipe this off, so you may have to pick a little bit off of the tip here because it might be jammed that way, or maybe you just have to wait a little bit longer. The other option is to just go get a different bottle if yours isn't working. I could take a wet cloth here and try to soften this up a little bit. I'm going to try it again. I think mine's working now. Oh yeah, it is. So it needed some time. And so you just dot your glue, flip it over, and stick it down. Okay? All right, have fun.